So today my vlog is about Twitter. And Twitter is a social media tool that we've been using in Dr. Power's class 5405G. So just to start it off, I like to first thank um, Ramona and also Heidi. They were my instructors when I attended a conference in London at OTF Connect. And so some of the resources in this presentation, I, I'm using their resources. So first, and this to start it off, should you use Twitter? So I mean, this is tongue in cheek. Do you live in the 21st century? Do you have access to the internet? Do you like to learn and share? Do you have a growth mindset? Do you like to make international connections? If you answered yes to all these, then yes, you should use Twitter. So let's go through the basics of Twitter first. First, you have follow. So you need to start following educators, and I'll recommend some educators that you could follow. And what's going to happen too is the more you are active in Twitter, and then people are also going to start following you because they're interested in your content. Now, what's interesting about Twitter is you have 280 characters. So what I find about Twitter is it makes you practice being very concise in your writing. The other thing is Twitter has something called a hashtag. So, for example, when I attended the workshop with OTF Connect, we used the hashtag OTF Connect. So it was a way basically to store everything that we were tweeting about in one centralized location. And what you do in Twitter too is you tag people. So it's sort of you tag another educator, for example, and so it's sort of like emailing them, so they would be alerted about your tweet. If you see something that um, you like, you just like other social media like tools like Instagram and Facebook, you can like in Twitter, or if you want to share it with your followers, you can retweet it. And what you could also do is there's a quote retweet. So basically, you're retweeting it, but you're adding some of your own content. And my recommendations always, when inserting a link, always include an image. So I like to tweet articles, and so when I tweet an article and a link to the article, then the picture comes with the article when I tweet it. Sometimes I also tweet like GIFs, and so that would show up. But images are much more eye-catching. And we're going to go into Twitter chats later. Um, but follow certain hashtags like Twitter chats or PLN, which stands for Personal Learning Network. So, what are some Twitter tips for educators? Um, Keep your Twitter handle really simple. So, first and last name, Mr. or Mrs. And then, so for example, I have two Twitter handles that I use most often. One of them is um, Mr. underscore lay, which is very simple. And what you'll find is when you follow other educators and leaders back when they follow you, look at the profiles before following back. And so one tip I give is that I see if like now that I have more followers, when I'm looking at somebody, whether to follow them or not, a lot of times I'll see if other people, other educators that I know, quite a number of them, are they also following this person too? What you should do too is add a professional profile picture of you as soon as possible. Otherwise, you get this faceless avatar. Check with your school district about their social media policies for students and teachers. Add a bio that lets your followers know who you are. Include job title, passions, and interests. So I include, for example, my school, a bit about my education. Right now, I'm really following what's happened with COVID-19. So I include that in my bio. Hashtags are used to join communities, conversations, or to solidify a point. And so very often when I tweet, I will put hashtags at the end. Tweet and retweet thoughtfully, be respectful, and always professional. And remember, what you're tweeting, everybody can see. So it's really be important that you be professional when you're tweeting. Report and block spam accounts by going to settings and blocked accounts. And so usually I don't need to do this, but there have been a few cases where I've blocked spam accounts. So what are the 5 stages of a Twitter user? I mean, I've only been using Twitter consistently for, I would say, about 3 years now. And basically, I didn't, even though I had an account for 10 years, um, I didn't think I needed Twitter. So I was in denial. But I did, but then what happened was when I took a course, e-learning course, at the AQ, the instructor advised that I should get a Twitter account. And then I noticed more and more educators were on Twitter. And what I did was the curiosity stage. I lurked and watched all the action. I liked and I retweeted. And I'm in. So I started posting ideas myself. I posted work I'm doing. I started replying to others, and I started learning through Twitter. And it became a obsession. So I checked my notifications, I replied, I shared often, I participated in chats, and I'm really learning a lot. So it's really become a part of my life, just like breathing. I meet with my PLN tweets, and I'm tagged quite often, and I'm really happy to share and ask other questions. So to get you started, here are some educators that you could follow. I mean, Matt Miller is great, and he has an excellent conference in December that I've taken part in the last 3 years, and he has the most amazing guest speakers. And I found Matt Miller's conference really helped me develop my PLN. George Corus is another great educator to follow. So is Jennifer Casa Todd. And I met her the very first time through the um, OTC Connect, where she was a guest speaker through through the through Skype. And she has an excellent book called Social Media, where students become leaders through the social media. Alice Keeler, she's great source for anything related to Google Classroom. Casey Bell, she's great about anything Google related. For example, if you're thinking of getting your Google certification, she has a program to do that. Brian Aspinall, he's well known for code breakers, so for coding, but he actually is part of the Catholic board, and he actually teaches the integrating information tech communication technology AQs. Jennifer Gonzalez, she's well known for her blog Cult of Pedagogy, and I would recommend it. I still remember one of her blog entries was about a very simple rubric. Trevor McKenzie, he's another inspiring educator. He's very much into inquiry learning. Dave Burgess, he has the most amazing ideas. He's he's um, he's a publisher of Teach Like a Pirate, and a lot of great educators publish their education books through his publishing company. Tara Martin's a great educator to follow. Um, for example, she has a great book, Cannonball Ian. Um, and one of the creative ideas she came up with is Snapchat, using Snapchat to to in your English class. So I would look that up. So professional learning sites to follow: TeachThought, Edutopia, Mindshift, TED Talks, EdTech Team Summits, EduGains, Shake Up Learning, Ontario Teacher Federation. These are all great professional learning sites to further your learning. So, what are some great Twitter chats to follow? Hashtag FSL chat, hashtag TVDSB chat, tech chat, hashtag ON Ed chat, hashtag TLAP, hashtag lead LAP, hashtag lead up chat, hashtag ONED, and hashtag ONEDSS chat. So I recommend, checking those Twitter chats out. And so if you go on and participate in a Twitter chat, I recommend trying TweetDeck. Now, in the course, what we did was Dr. Power, he introduced to us to a tool called TWUBS. And actually, we tried it out in the beginning, and actually, we ran into difficulties because it kept spinning and spinning and spinning. So what eventually happened was we didn't use TWUBS, and we actually just went on Twitter directly instead of using TWUBS for our Twitter chat. And so what you notice is when you're doing a Twitter chat, you need a hashtag. So we did hashtag SOC Media, social media 5405. And so Dr. Power, he would ask a question. So you could see here, Q4. So you start off with a question. what are the barriers to using social